Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
In the studio with us today, this one is a really neat surprise. First of all, because I have followed this gentleman's career for quite a few years. I loved what he accomplished many, many years ago. And then this neat little thing happened recently, and my wife absolutely loves it. There's this Geico commercial that comes out, and all of a sudden, there he is with his partner. DC Glenn is on the show with us today. How you doing, man?
Doing wonderful. How you doing?
Doing great. So, Tag Team, the group, you started out in the Atlanta market. When you were putting things together, was this something you had envisioned, that you were going to have this group that was going to have this mega hit and you were going to be as successful as you were? Because from what I understand, it wasn't an easy way how you guys got started.
Of course, I thought I was going to be the greatest ever.
Yeah,
right?
Great attitude. I love it.
If you're not going to be, if you don't have that hubris about yourself, it's going to be hard for you to make it in the music industry. First thing you got to have is that. And it goes to your tenacity. I never give up. So I didn't care how long it took. Just like with everything I'm doing now, I'm an actor, I'm a voice artist, and I never gave up. If you start something, you just don't give up, because you will eventually reach your goal. But if you get out of your emotions and just do the work, you'll get masterful at it. So for us, we've been having fun since we were kids, because we grew up in Denver, Colorado. We met in high school. Steve had a band. I got in his band. I sang in the choir. And our first high school dance, we had a DJ that had 2 turntables and a mixer. And I was like, what is that? Right? And I'm like, I got to be one of those. So I became a DJ. Lead singer of the band. And, you know, when I got to college at Sac State University, instead of listening to my lessons in college, I was writing lyrics in class. You know, and this is at the beginning of hip hop, so I'm just into it. And I'm in Sacramento. Steve's here. He moves down to Atlanta to go to the Art Institute to further his education. And I came down to visit and had a ball, and came, you know, and just said, I know I'm going to Atlanta. And I moved to Atlanta. I was supposed to have a job at CNN, but ended up working at a club called Magic City, and I was a DJ, and didn't realize how good a DJ I was till it was that easy for me to get a job. And then now I'm a happy young man because I get to play all my own songs. I get to have a ball doing what I love and make money at it.
Right.
So, you know, for us, you could say the road was hard because we tried to get deals and it didn't work. But us at the beginning being young men, it was more fun. The journey was fun. There was no hard parts about the journey. You know, there were a little disappointment, but it was all fun. And I came to the realization that back then it was New York and LA were the hubs of hip hop. So if you didn't come from those 2 places, it's real hard for you to get a music deal. You know, we were in the Southeast, and, you know, there were artists that might have got independent record deals, but nobody was really doing anything big. And for us to come out of the Southeast, I realized that we had to make up-tempo music, which, you know, down south would be called bass music, Southern bass. And I went to Steve and said, man, we're never getting out of here unless we do some up-tempo stuff. And he was like, I can't do that bass stuff. I love it, but I can't, you know, make it. And I was like, no, think Planet Rock, because Planet Rock is the genesis of hip-hop. And that's New York. That's the B-boy era. That's where it started. And he put together the beat with an old-school sample, Kano, and I'd had tons of lyrics. So one of the songs I was working on was Whoomp, There It Is. And it was no real rocket science project. It was more of a Bunch of guys just having fun partying on a Friday night. That's all it was. It was that simple. There was no whiteboards and no schemes or anything like that. It was just a party about us having fun. And it's always been like that. We recorded it, and I remember getting the cassette, dropping the cassette in when I had to work that night at the club. And to this day, it is the biggest response on any record I have ever had, and I've been DJing for 30 years. You know, my hubris back then, I'm thinking, yeah, every record I make is going to be like this, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of shelf Whoomp, there it is. But then I played it about 4 months later. Something interesting happened. One of my record reps was in there in the audience, Alan Cole from Columbia Records. He was like, man, what is that? And I was like, that's my new record. He was like, give me that. I'm sending it to New York. Send it to New York. Now I got all the labels talking to me, but they're not pulling the trigger. So I get frustrated and I almost gave up. Then a young lady named Lisa McCall that worked at Mercury Records, she was like, you need to call Al Bell. For those who don't know who Al Bell is, he is one of the original soul music record company owners. And there were 3 record companies that started soul music: Motown, Philly International, and Stax Records. And Al Bell owns Stax Records. And the year before Whoomp, There It Is, a record came out called Daisy Dukes by Deuce, and it was a bass record, and he made that record go gold. So I was like, whoa, if he can do that for that, he might be able to really do something for this. So I call him, takes him about a week and a half to call me back. And he calls back, I pick up the phone. He's like, this is Al Bell. And I'm like, Mr. Bell, what's going on? We got a hit record. I'm in all the clubs. Everybody loves it. You have got to sign us. And he was like, okay. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I was like, you haven't even heard the record. You know, I'll never forget these words. He said, I don't have to hear the record, brother. I hear it in your spirit. Let's agree to agree and get this thing moving. I said, cool. I gave my 2 weeks at Magic City, the club I was at, signed a messed up record deal. And in a month and a half, we were platinum, and the rest is history.
Let's talk about that record deal, that tragedy of, I guess, of not being prepared and signing a recording contract that maybe wasn't in the best interest of the artist. How quickly were you into this when you went, uh-oh, maybe we shouldn't have done this?
About 4 years, because it was all good for 4 years. Actually, we signed a decent deal. We signed a regular, beginning production deal. The problem came when it came to the publishing, because people think it's all in one big bowl. But music publishing is a whole nother entity. That's where the money lies. So, but back then, if you sold a lot of records, it was there too, right? But now it's all publishing. And to be able to sync that record and do all the things you need to do to make money later, we really weren't thinking about, nor did we know about. It was 50-50, and it was all good, but our fatal flaw was signing administration over the record company. And that's basically giving the keys to your Rolls Royce and you never being able to drive your Rolls Royce. And you got to put the gas in the Rolls Royce. You got to pay for the maintenance in the Rolls Royce. You got to do all the things that the Rolls Royce needs to continue to live. And you're like, wait a minute. I made this Rolls Royce. How come I don't get any money off of this? How come I don't get to drive? That's when it kind of started. And then, I tried to take legal action, but I'm thinking I have long money, but record companies have long money. And I realized I had short money. So the record company went bankrupt, and then it was kind of over. And then another record company bought it out of bankruptcy. And then now there's a battle, because you can buy the catalog, but you can't take the publishing because the publishing's in another name. That was the reason for us signing over administration. So long story short, I took that opportunity not to be bitter about it, but to look at the glass half full and not half empty. And I basically became a paralegal because I said, I will never let this happen to me again. And I know I'm going to have my day in court, and it's up to me to keep all the paperwork together, to keep all the discovery together, to, when they file motions, know exactly when they're filing, where they're filing. All these little things that a lot of people would never even do and overlook. And I did that for 20 years. And it was just laid out perfectly when our day in court came that I just gave my lawyers a big box of discovery, and I saved half the money on my legal fees, right? So that's what I chose to do, right? But then I chose to never let those things happen to me again. I said I will learn about finance, so I won't let finance be one of the things that hampers me. I'm going to learn how to do my own marketing. I'm going to learn how to do all the things I need to promote a record. But when it ended up happening is I realized that all these things I'm doing to help me promote a record are the things that help me to be a good businessman overall. And then there was no stopping me. Became a licensed commodities broker, tried to start a hedge fund. I tried to do all kind of things, but they all served me in a way that prepared me for anything that came my way. And then I realized probably 2003 when I'm sitting in a movie looking at Will Farrell dance on a table to Elf that I have an evergreen entity. It's going to last forever, and it is up to me to generate the money, not anyone else. And then my whole thinking changed, and that's why we've always been successful, because we've always been able to do shows. We've always been able to do kind of what we want. There's always a commercial or something every year. We get the writer's share of the publishing, which is most people get no share of the publishing. So you can live on the writer's share. We have been able to make good money for a lot of years, but still kind of hurts that you can't get what you're supposed to get.
When we talk about the film Elf, all of a sudden, Whoomp, there it is in the mailroom scene with Will Farrell dancing on top of the table. Were you aware that that had been placed in the movie? Did anybody come and talk to you about it? Or you just find it totally by watching the movie and there it is?
Absolutely no idea. And I'm looking at it, I'm proud and pissed off at the same time.
Wow.
And then I find out I think they got 120 for that. So 120 supposed to get 30 for that, right?
Yeah.
From the publishing, so from the sync fee. It was just years of going through that. But I really took the time because I had to go back to DJing, went back to work. And DJing for me was easy. So I'm making show money in clubs, and I'm in the biggest clubs in Atlanta. And I decided to just run my life like a corporation. So I'm not just a DJ. I'm your light guy. I'm your your sound tech. I do your flyers. I do your television commercial. I do your radio commercial. I'm your fashion photographer. I make your calendars. I do all your graphics. I make myself invaluable. And by making yourself invaluable, you're secure. And because I chose that path, then all the things that I were doing that I started getting good at, I wanted to become masterful. So I started getting serious about taking voiceover. I got serious about making websites and SEO and marketing and TV production and all the things that can make me a self-sufficient, well-oiled machine to do whatever I need to do for myself. And I did it. It was difficult. Some things went faster, some things went slower. Everybody's telling me, hey, DC, you're not making no money doing that photography. Why are you doing it? Because I like to do it. Well, you ain't making no money. Why? You just all over the place. And I'm like, yeah. It's like you jack of all trades, master of none. It's like, okay. But what I've learned is that if you hustle hard enough, you learn how to learn, and you just don't ever quit, you become masterful of some of those trades. And they all serve you in ways that you could have never imagined in the future. And that's what I did. We've always done shows. We've always done halftime shows. Those are very lucrative. We're always there. It's always in a movie. It's always in a commercial, because if it's in a certain commercial, then we get SAG royalties. So half of the commercials that we were in, we got a big giant chunk of money out of nowhere. See, people don't talk about that. So I had to learn about all that. I had to learn about how you get paid through SAG. I had to learn that there's like 5 different tiers. There's a contract every 3-4 years. And then you just understand what is happening to you when it happens to you. And then you can take advantage of the situation and not cry over spilled milk, but make lemonade out of lemons. And I've done it effectively for years. That's just who I am. I can't help it, man. I can't sit there and be bitter over stuff. I just can't, because there's always just more reasons to move forward than there is to move backward.
We're going to take a break, get a word in from one of our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to have some more conversation with DC Glenn, the DC Brain Supreme of Tag Team.
Yes, sir.
This is Sarah Beth Peary with the Band, coming live from Nashville, Tennessee, and you're listening to The Business Side of Music with this crazy guy, Bob Bender, hosting the show, and that's only because he won't let anyone else have the microphone. Well, except maybe me.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
Whether you consider yourself a musician or not, music is all around us, and it affects our everyday lives, whether it's background music influencing our shopping habits in a store, organ music adding the vibe to a baseball game, or a playlist convincing us to keep going on that last mile of a run. I'm Mindy Peterson, host of the podcast Enhance Life with Music, where we take a holistic look at music's benefits through the lens of science and medicine, entertainment, and business. You can find me and Enhance Life with Music at mpetersonmusic.com/podcast or wherever you get your audio.
Hi, everyone. I'm Larry Butler, and I want to send you a free digital copy of my new book, The Singer-Songwriter Rulebook, 101 Ways to Help You Improve Your Chances of Success. That's right. Everything you need to know to launch your career as a singer-songwriter, all based on my 40 years in the live performance arena. And believe me, I've seen it all. In my book, you'll find the 10 things you have to deal with before even thinking about becoming a singer-songwriter performer. You'll also learn about the 5 things every singer-songwriter can do this weekend to make their live show better. 5 things I can guarantee that you are not doing already. Plus, there's tips on songwriting and staging, photo and video shoots, publishing, merch, dozens of other topics. All written for people who don't particularly like to read. And again, it's free. Just go to the Business Side of Music website homepage and look for my book cover. Click on it, and a free digital copy of my book will be yours. I'm Larry Butler, and I approve of this message.
You're listening to the Business Side of Music.
Back in the studio with us, DC Glenn from Tag Team is with us talking about their career and where it led them. You traveled all over the world. You got to see really one of the biggest records in recorded music history out there. And as you said, then all of a sudden it transitioned and you almost had to reinvent yourself. You went back to being a DJ. But one of the things that, looking in the show notes, you transitioned from working in the music industry into working into the entertainment industry. And there is a difference there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How difficult was that for you to figure that out? Because, you know, what we talk about on this show, it is the business side of music. And, and you need to know all aspects.
Okay, so for me, 2011, everybody thinks that I get a call from a New York Times reporter at my work at the job, and they make me come to the front because she wouldn't hang up. And I'm like, look, you got to call me in the morning. I'm at work. The record's about to go off. And she calls me in the morning. I'm like, I'm from the New York Times. Did you read the Gawker article yet? And I'm like, what is that? And they're like, well, the whole world thinks that Barack Obama was in your music video. Whoomp, there it is. I was like, whoa. And she was like, I want to do an interview. And they did an interview, and then she gave my number to everybody, and then we did press for a whole week. Gene Mo, CNN, Stephen Colbert. And at the end of that week, I was disappointed because I had nothing to show for it. Because I didn't have a web presence. There were things that we didn't have, and that was like a fatal flaw. That was something that needed to be there because people are not going to try to find you. They're not going to go over the hills and through the woods to try to find you. If they can't find you after one search, they're going to keep moving. That's one of those things where I vowed that I will never let that happen again. And that's what started my SEO career. So 2 years before that, I'm in the corridor. That's what they call it, this technique of, it's this book. This guy wanted to own a pie shop. And he's like, well, let me go work at a pie shop. He worked at a pie shop. He figured out how to do everything in the pie shop. He opened his own pie shop. Then he franchised it. Then he sold it for $20 million. He called that technique getting in the corridor. And that's what I did with DJing. I put together a business plan. I gave a presentation to my boss. And my boss cut me a check for $25,000 because no DJ had ever done that. And then I started getting good at all the things that I was doing for the marketing of the club. And then voiceover is one of those things where I wanted to expand on it. So I started flying to New York and LA and started training for voiceover, and it was hard. And I thought I could whoomp, there it is, my way through anything. And I was wrong, right? And it was so difficult that I thought it was the instructors that were doing it wrong. And I just couldn't figure out how come I couldn't get good at this after 2 or 3 years. But I never gave up. It was just something that I just knew that I had to keep doing. As time goes on, 2015, I didn't want to be a 50-year-old DJ, so I retired from DJing. I want to start doing shows big time again. I developed these tactics, man, call them, learn how to learn tactics. I would go to all the promoters and the booking agents, and I'd be like, hey, can we get on your roster? Because now I'm starting to build the website and get things, I just want to be on everybody's roster, so I can kind of get that SEO juice. They're like, well, you only got one record and boom, boom, boom. What have you done for me lately? I'm like, okay. And whenever I get igged or hit a roadblock, I joined an organization. Organizations are filled with professionals of a certain profession who love their profession and do everything they can to elevate their profession. And I joined the International Entertainment Buyers Association. And in concerts and entertainment, there's a hierarchy. You have your buyers. Those are the people that got the big money that want to put on the concerts. Then you have your venues, you have your stadiums, you have your arenas, you have your amphitheaters. Then you have your big boy promoters, which are the Live Nations and the iHeart Radios. Then you have the mom and pop promoters who are the ones that are telling me I can't do this. Then you have the managers, then you have the artist. What I effectively did is cut out the middleman because I went to their convention, 5,000 strong, nothing but buyers there. Me and Chubby Checker, the only black dudes in there. And I got a big Whoomp, there it is, t-shirt on. And I got my pitch ready and I got my cards ready and I just started networking. And, my pitch was, hey, how you doing? My name is DC, the Brain Supreme, a tag team. Might have heard the song Whoomp, there it is. Hey, man, I love that song. What are you guys doing these days? Well, we have a clean, 90s, nostalgic rap show. And the fact that I said clean, everyone's ears perked because they don't like rap because they got to pay all the insurance for it. So if I had said I got a rap group, they would have been like, okay, thank you. And they would just took my car and threw it away. But because I was who I was, now the thing that everybody thought was my weakness turned into my strength because now I'm dealing with the buyers. And the buyer said, I can stick you in the middle of this festival. And all I need you to do is Whoomp to get the crowd pumped. And I'll give you $8,000 to do it. And now I'm doing casinos. Now we're doing rodeos. Now we're doing corporate events. Now we're doing all these different types of events. And then we end up getting on tour, all because of my hustle, because I didn't give up, because I played offense and I refused to lose. That's how I sustained. And we end up doing like 20, 30 shows a year. We did that till the pandemic. After the lawsuit was over, because that was 2017, they finally got their court date 2010. The trial lasted 2 years, and the old record company won. So the new record company had to go through a series of appeals. Their last appeal was in 2016 to the Supreme Court. And can you imagine if turned on the news and today the Supreme Court takes on the case of tag team Whoomp, there it is. That just would have been bananas, but they denied that case, and then it was over. Then, they had a scorched earth policy, it seemed like. So that's when was my time to fight. I found a good lawyer down in Florida. And she was incredible because I gave her that big box of discovery. And she came up with 3 or 4 ways, and we prevailed. It was at a cost. Because, you lose an arm in war, you lose an arm, you lose a leg, you might come back with an eye patch, but you're still breathing. And you still got life. It's amazing because I kind of got depressed. And it was like, for the month of August 2017, I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? It was just hard. I got a call from this company, said, we love your voice. We got $10,000 for you to do our industrials. This is what I'm going to do. And because I didn't give up on voiceover, and it was still hard then, it's still hard now, I was able to come out of that depression. And I knew what I wanted to do. And then a month later, I'm with my coach down in Atlanta, and she's like, go to the People Store. They're looking for African-American talent. Now I signed with my first agent, and now I'm getting auditions every day. And then I start booking, and then I'm at the People Store. The owner comes in, and she's like, nice to meet you. She's like, I really love your face. Put him on camera. I'm like, what does that mean? You're an actor now. It's like, really? I wasn't even thinking about being an actor. I was just thinking, maybe if I was thinking about just let me do some extra stuff. There's like, we don't do extra stuff. Either you're going to be an actor or you're not. It's like, let's go. What I got to do? You got to take headshots, and you got to go to class. I went to 2 classes, and I was in class every day, sometimes 2-3 times a day. I did all the workshops. I did everything. I got to know every casting director. I got to know everybody. I put in such hard work. I did that all the way to the pandemic. And by the time I got to the pandemic, I booked about 6 or 7 commercials and maybe about 5 other little things in acting and a bunch of voiceover. Right before the pandemic, I booked my first national Pizza Hut commercial for March Madness, but it got canceled because of the pandemic. And I wasn't mad. I was just glad I booked. That let me know I was there. It's not about the money sometimes. It's about the gratification that somebody saw you and picked you. And the pandemic is, I'm being honest, the pandemic is the greatest thing that ever happened to me because we all had to stop at the same time. And now we're all in the Serengeti together. What are you going to be, predator or prey? And I said, Same thing I was doing when I was laying in that bed. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Can't do shows, can't do this, but I can do this. And every class that I take, I record. So I went back to the beginning, 2009, my first voiceover class. And I gathered all those voiceover classes, and I listened to my first voiceover session, and it was gut-wrenchingly heartbreaking because I had to listen to my 10-year-ago self have a conversation, and it was just ugly. And I had to listen to my first voiceover I ever did, and it just made my skin crawl. And I realized that it was me that was getting in my own way. But at the same time, it was exhilarating because I was like, wait a minute. Because I'm an actor, because I've been in class for the last 3 years, because I've done this, because I never gave up, I understand what they're trying to tell me now. Oh my gosh, I can do that. I redid my first voiceover, and it was angelic because for the first time I had mastery over my voice. Now I was reinvented. Back in March of 2020, when we all thought we were going to turn into zombies and start eating each other, I was in the dungeon on this microphone, recreating myself, doing every single voiceover that I had ever done over and just becoming masterful at it. Then I started booking. Then in April, here comes my acting coach in LA, Crystal Carson, saying, hey, what you doing? I'm casting this movie. They said we can shoot in Nebraska. I got a part for you. I shoot my first movie. Then I shoot my second movie. Then I book a fall campaign for Publix grocery store in Atlanta. Then I book a Tyler Perry House of Pain episode. And then here comes Geico. 2020 is the greatest year of my life because it's amazing. My agent calls me and says, you booked a Geico commercial, DC. I'm like, why are you playing with my emotions? I didn't even audition for a Geico commercial. They're like, DC, you booked a Geico commercial. They said they want a tag team. I was like, oh. I go check the tag team phone because it's on the site, right? Because I do SEO. I've done my due diligence because 10 years ago, you type in tag team, it was all wrestling. You type in tag team today, it's all tag team. And they called me. I didn't answer. They went to put in a search, and they found IMDb, went to my acting portal, found my agents, called my agents. And I let my agents make the deal because now I don't got to get lawyers, and this is what they do. The synergy was incredible, and is the biggest, most lucrative deal that I have ever done in my life. Talk about full circle. I owe it to SEO because I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I kept grinding. I kept playing offense, and I learned how to learn. Because the ability to get on pages in Google where people can see you and you get to the people that need to see you took 10 years. Search engine optimization is not easy. Voiceover is not easy. Acting is not easy. But once you start, you can't quit. And I become masterful in all of them. And just 2 years ago, I'm like, I just want to be a working actor. And my actors friends be like, shut up. You are a working actor. Oh, yeah, I am. Right? Because I had worked so hard and it took so long that now it doesn't even feel like it. So here comes Geico. DC, we're going to do Soup, There It Is. I'm like, wow, because I'm an actor, I got to prepare. So let me go look at these Seinfeld episodes and find the Soup Nazi episodes so I can get some ideas, right? And they were like, no, we're going to do ice cream. I was like, okay, Scoop, There It Is. I was like, all right. I was like, then I started preparing for that. I was like, okay, I want to go into it with 5 or 6 things that I can go to the director with and say, hey, this is what I put together. Can we do these? So, one was the spinning scoop. Tried to find somebody to fabricate it, couldn't. And, we had our production meeting the night before, and I told the director that. He was like, don't worry about it. It'll be done tomorrow. I was like, what? Like, yeah, it'll be done tomorrow. I was like, okay. And I was like, I want to have a ton of sprinkles because I don't know why kids love sprinkles, but I know they love sprinkles. So we need to have a lot of sprinkles. I'm going to do a salt-based sprinkle, the old LeBron James sprinkle. I'm going to do a sprinkle party. It'll be a sprinkle food fight. We're going to do all that. We're going to do our little dance. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's like, DC, you can do anything you want to do. And they had a truckload of sprinkles. They had that spin and scoop the next day. And we shot that commercial and had a ball. We danced, we laughed, we had fun. The other actors did well. They were all in the same improv troupe and didn't even know they all auditioned. I'm talking about this synergy is just incredible. And it was over. And I knew, everybody's asking me like, I know you're so happy. I was like, nah, because usually when you get a Geico commercial, you're on tour forever. As an artist, we're in a pandemic. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So I was like, I'm going to take these lemons, make some good lemonade. I'm going to have me a lemonade shop. I'm going to franchise it. I'm going to sell it for $20 million. I said, let me find a publicist so I can blow up acting and voiceover. I got to do something. to take some type of juice off of this Geico commercial. And that's what I did. And me and my agents had meetings with all kind of publicists, and they're like, well, we don't know how to do it because we're working from home. We usually would do a junket in New York and this and this and that. And I was like, fine, thank you. And what do I do when I get stuck? People tell me that they can't do something for me. I can't do something. I joined the organization. So I joined the Public Relations Society of America. 2 days in, I'm on a Zoomcast, right? And on this Zoomcast is the CEO of a PR firm. And I raised my hand. I said, are press releases relevant? And they're like, well, what's it for? I'm like, well, I'm kind of featured in a Geico commercial called Scoop. There it is. They're like, wait a minute. That can't be you. Wait, it is. Oh, my God, I love that song. I love that commercial. When you guys going to make a song of that? Man, my kids love that. Just blew up the entire Zoom chat, right? And the moderator's like, we want to welcome DC to the organization. We're going to talk about that Geico commercial a little later. But back to this question, are press releases relevant? The CEO's like, yes, because the whole last year has been COVID. Every story is about COVID. Every story is about politics. Every story is about doom and gloom. And here you guys come throwing sprinkles everywhere, spinning scoops. In DC, your smile, just dancing, because the CEO has seen the Geico commercial. And she was like, of course that press release is going to work. And you also want to go here to get in front of TV talk shows. You want to go here to get in front of all the PR people. You want to go here to get in front of all the journalists. You want to go here to get in front of all the podcasts. And she gave me the entire breadth of her expertise, of her profession, which is public relations, in 10 minutes. And I have not looked back, and it has opened doors for me that I could have never imagined. And it is the reason that you and I are talking right now, man. And I dropped that press release 3 days before the Super Bowl. On a Wednesday, I get a call Thursday, we need you on Dan Patrick Show. Friday, I'm on a Dan Patrick Show in the morning, national audience, because of press release, right? 2 weeks from that, I'm on Tamron Hall, ABC Daytime, national audience, because of a press release, because I didn't quit. I kept playing offense, and you're not going to stop me. I'm going to figure it out, period. And I'm going to change the paradigm. And what I've done is change the paradigm. Now I do 4 or 5 podcasts a day. That has given me gifts that I could have never imagined. Like, I am grateful to you that you let me come on here and just run my mouth, because I'm figuring things out. Right? I'm figuring all kind of things out, like, oh, I can do it this way, and I can do this, and there's an idea, and this gives a little action to this idea. And I get to tell people the things that I have been through in my life, not something in a book, but what I've been in these trenches hustling, doing for years. That's the stuff people want to hear. And I love telling it, because I learn more from talking, and all I'm trying to do, and this goes back to what we started with, all I want to do is talk to people about the things that I wish somebody had told me when I was a young man. Basically, music publishing, and not to sign administration over it no matter what. Maybe things would have been a little bit different, but I'm happy the way they turned out anyway, right? Because if I didn't go through those trials and tribulations, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, and I wouldn't have gained those superpowers of positivity, because I just don't go on the negative side. It's in me. I have to deal with it, but I've learned to, squash my ego and my pride. And when you do that, your mind is open to things that you just can't even see coming. And then you just prepare. All I do is prepare. That's it. And I try to help people, and young artists come to me. It's like, DC, put me in the game. And I'm like, okay, give me your email. I got a folder. It's got a book in it. Read that book and get back to me. And if you don't like to read or can't read, I got a video in there. Look at the video, get back to me. 98% of people do not call me back, because everybody wants to be a star. Everybody wants that instant gratification, and it doesn't exist. You don't plant a seed, sit down and say, come on, seed, grow. I need you to grow, seed. Come on, seed, grow. The seed ain't growing. The seed don't work. You don't do that, but we know people who do that. And I plant them seeds and keep it moving. Because I've planted so many seeds recently, and realized that I planted them all over my life, that I stand before you in a forest of opportunity. And if I'm not ready for it, it's my fault. See, it's how you think about things, right? And there's one cat who called me back. He's an Army veteran, was in Afghanistan, suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. But he raps his butt off, because he's talking about true gangster stuff. True stuff that they did, them foxholes, right? And it's riveting. And he read the book, came back to me, was like, I still kind of don't understand, but I read it. I was like, hey, man, I know you read it because you asking me questions. So let me put you on game. And I told him all about it. And he was like, okay, I get it. But, don't I need to go to the club? I was like, dude, you don't even realize what I've done for you. I have full confidence that you will never be taken advantage of in this music industry because you now know music publishing and how important it is. And what I've effectively done is giving you the back end first as opposed to the front end. The front end is the girls, the cars, the concerts, the money, all that stuff. I've given you the back end when all that other stuff fades. What do you have left when the dust settles? You have your music publishing. So if you went through all of that and you still got your music publishing, that's a pension plan forever.
We're going to take another break, get another word in for another one of our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to ask DC, the brain supreme of Tag Team, what's next for him?
Hello, this is Christopher Caliendo. I'm the founder of the 2D Academy and Caliendo Music Publishing. I have the pleasure of speaking to Bob Bender on the business side of music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
What does it take to succeed in country music? Hi, this is Candy O'Terry, your host for Country Music Success Stories.
And this is JC Don Valeris, your Music City mentor. Our Nashville-based podcast takes you into the homes and onto the back porches of country music icons.
And the stories they tell us just might inspire you to make your country music success story come true.
Check out Country Music Success Stories on your favorite podcast platform.
And subscribe today.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Back in the studio, DC, the brain supreme of the hit group Tag Team. If you have not seen the Geico commercial, you have been living in a hole. If you've never seen the movie Elf and the mailroom scene where Will Farrel is dancing to Whoomp, there it is. If you have not seen their music video, I don't know what to tell you because it's a great song. And this gentleman in the studio with us is probably one of the most inspiring guests. What I love about you is you've never given up. And what you've said several times, you have taken lemons and you've made lemonade. You have figured out, in spite of all of the adversity, all of the issues, the pandemic for the last year, you have figured out a way to make it work.
What else is there, man? And trust me, all of this is easier said than done, right? But I have acquired the ability to take any type of negative emotion, fear, envy, hate, disgust, despair, loathing, all of it, and not react to it, but put it in my pocket and use it for later, right?
Right.
Example, I got an audition next week for this role that causes me to be angry. And I was in an argument with this girl last week, so now I didn't really react. I just kind of kept it inside because I know I was going to get to use it. And now this role calls for that. Now I don't have to try to be a character or find a caricature, but I pull that out the pocket and now the character becomes me and now it's real. And that's acting, right?
Yeah.
You find ways to take negative things and turn them into positive things for you down the road. And you deal with the pain that you're dealing with inside. And what that does is it kills your ego and it crushes your pride. And you take it and it helps you. And once you realize that it helps you, then you love that pain. Like I love being wrong because it kills my ego and it hurts my pride. If I'm arguing with somebody, I just let them go because for me, being wrong is the path to being right. But if you're trying to win an argument with me, I'm going to let you try to win. I'm going to just let you go and riff because now you're about to start making up stuff. Now you're about to go in that rabbit hole of untruth. Now you're about to be stuck there. Now you're about to be truly lost when I am finding the answer to the solution to the problem and I'm moving forward. And that's how I deal with things. Like I said, it's easier said than done. But I've just developed these tactics that I deal with, and they're not all bulletproof, but they help me. And then I think about, I love when people just come to me complaining. Because most people say, I hate when people come to me complaining with their problems and always trying to do this. I love it and I love when people come to me with their excuses. Well, I can't do this. Well, I can't quite figure out this. Because you've just given me a whole bunch of gifts because now you're telling me what can't be done. And I'm thinking in my mind, oh, I got a solution for that. And it's like, even if it's a far-fetched, fantastical, pie-in-the-sky solution, because that's where I start with everything I do or everything I want to do. I start with a pie in the sky all the way up here, and then I work my way back to practicality. And now I've just developed a business plan in reverse, and I have a step ladder to get back to where I want to go. And the pandemic taught me that I do not want to leave this world regretting that I didn't do something I wanted to do. So now I've got tutors for everything. And all the opportunities, you know how in life we beat ourselves up about missed opportunities and mistakes. And I realized that, wait a minute, you didn't miss an opportunity when you were in the deep bowels of Disney teaching Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse how to rap. And they were talking to you about animation and you guys had such a great time. And you're in that big studio and you're with Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and they're giving you the game and you can't see it. I beat myself up for years for that because I'm like, if I had known that then, I could have been doing voiceover all this time. But sometimes we aren't ready. I realized that I didn't need to beat myself up when I was sitting in the office of the president of New Line Cinema when they're like, we want to kind of cast you for something, DC, because he's the president and my manager, they went to college together and he's trying to hook me up. And he's like, we got a movie. And we got the two leads that are battling each other, who is LL Cool J and Wesley Snipes. And the movie's called Blade, a vampire movie. And I'm like, whatever, just call me. Beat myself up for that. But see, I stand here today, just signed one of the biggest deals of my life with a voiceover company, one of the biggest in the world. And now we're moving. I've got 5 agents for voiceover. I'm now on the precipice of something great in acting because I've got 2 movies about to be released and 3 TV shows about to all drop at the same time. So I wasn't ready, but I'm ready now. And my life is so crazy now. And everybody's saying, you know, people now are saying, DC, you can't do everything. You can't do it all, because I'm doing everything. We was on the WWE this morning, and now we're just going to be in partnership with WWE. I was just the Grand Marshal at NASCAR, Talladega 500, places that nobody gets to go. And everybody's like, but DC, you can't do everything. You can't. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I can't do everything, but I sure enough can be prepared for everything. And what they don't realize, man, is that, you know, they always react like, you know what, you're right. That's good. That's good. And I'm like, what they don't realize is the thing that you just disapproved of is the same thing that you approve of. Being prepared for everything is doing everything, right? I'm doing music production again. I'm so cold with it. And because half the educators went back to school to teach, half the educators said, I am not going to go back to school with them nasty ass kids. And what they did is they changed their paradigm and they went on all the tutoring sites. There's a ton of tutoring sites out there. And you can find any tutor to teach you anything. It could be a Harvard professor. It could be an actress from Juilliard. It could be, the paradigm has shifted. Now you can learn. It's learn how to learn. I even went even further. I'm working with this dog called Studio One, big company. Everybody likes their dog. And now I went to the horse's mouth. Because the guy who makes the videos, one of the engineers, I was like, hey, man, what's the ticket for you to do one-on-one? He was like, it's this. I was like, let's go. Every Tuesday, I am training with the engineer who created Studio One, one of the biggest DAWs on the planet. And the beauty of it is that he's not trying to make me learn the platform the way he wants to. I'm learning the platform in a custom way according to my workflow. So if I do a voiceover audition, now I know how to put the right compression on it. Now I know how to clean it up right. Now I know how to do all the things by using this DAW. If I want to do loops, I know how to do this. If I want to do anything I'm trying to do, trying to make the show better, so I need to cut this way. We're learning real time according to my custom workflow. And I have learned that DAW so quickly. And we've been working it for 3 months. Now I'm making beats again and putting together whole songs now. I'm not going to be an artist again, but I can do a jingle for a television, for a ad agency. I can do, if I'm auditioning for all these Christmas movies, I can make a Christmas song and submit it. And now I don't even have to worry about if people like it or not, because if they license it, I get 100% of everything. And if people like it, people are going to be saying, wait a minute, what's that Christmas song? That's DC the Brain Supreme Tag Team. Man, he's still making money, as opposed to, everybody listen to my record. Man, DC need to sit his old ass down. You see the difference? Learn how to learn, right? There's all kind of ways to do things. And if you're sitting around waiting for it to get back the way it used to be, as most people are, you're going to be sitting around waiting for it to come back the way it used to be, while I'm standing looking at the frontier with just opportunities and everything. And I'm standing at the foothills of the mountains and I'm looking. And I'm thinking about, so there is a reason that they say there's gold in them dar hills. All I have to do is put in the work to extract it. I see the gold. and I'm the only one that's doing it. So everything can be custom. You have your own custom lane. You can live your dreams. You can do anything you want to do, but you have to put in the work. And, well, DC a tag team. Yeah, but people don't know that. People don't recognize me. I can tell you maybe 3 times that people don't recognize me from that commercial, and that's because they know me. Don't know about, because how I carry myself. I don't carry myself like a star. I carry myself like a businessman. I'm nonchalant. I'm stealthy, and I know how to get in front of people when I need to turn it on and be like, okay, I'm the superstar of the world. I know how to do that, but I rarely have to do that. And if I do that, I'm doing it when I'm going into a boardroom to get into a meeting to do things that serve me, not my ego and not my pride.
How can people find you?
Yep, tagteambackagain.com.
Tagteambackagain.com.
Mm-hmm.
Man, thank you so much for the show. This has been an enormous wealth of information.
No, man, thank you for letting me come on here and just run my mouth and learn some things tonight. I mean, I've learned a lot today, right?
We both have.
It's incredible how that works because, my motto is you give what you want first. And it's not a quid pro quo. I just do it to do it because it's the right thing to do. It's my responsibility. I've lived this and I've been blessed. There you have it. Oh, yeah. Sprinkles. That's how I feel about it.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Busan.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.